Okay. Good morning. This is Jack from Charting the Markets Crypto, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Monday, the 11th of May. My disclaimer: I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at ccmcrypto.substack.com. And it's published on YouTube after a delay of 3 days. All right, great. Let's have a look at the Bitcoin weekly chart, which is closed for the fourth week above the weekly middle band and is getting pretty close to the key resistance level I've been looking at, which is the 200 DMA. Now, in recent days, it's not so much that Bitcoin has been rising to reach the 200 DMA, but the 200 DMA has been falling to meet Bitcoin and is now down at 82,590, which is a little lower than this high here at rally high here at 82.8k, although it was higher when that high was made. We don't have any negative divergence here. Kind of looks as though we do, but we don't, because the second high here, this retest, is so far lower. I'm thinking that may well be a full retest when it is made, but it's not been, that full retest has not been made yet. In terms of the overall setup here, it's not a particularly pretty flag, but I think this is a flag. And hang on, I'm just going to adjust the trend line on here because the obvious place to go at this point is the first high after the low, and still not a great looking flag, but that is really as low as I would go unless we were looking at some kind of a channel here. And at the moment, it's not far away. Actually, sorry, let's test that. I was assuming this wasn't a channel, but you know what they say about assumptions. Hang on. Just leaving stranded lines up there. Alrighty, that's a channel. Hang on. Just minimize that. We're looking at a full bear flag channel there, and actually, that's nice. I didn't think that was the case, but it is. So we shall see how that goes. But I keep being asked whether I'm seeing any, there's various talk about the talking heads, empty heads, in the all these people with like 250,000 followers, very little about crypto, and there's a lot of talk from them that bull market's resuming, etc. First, I would say we're basically 6 months into this in this bear market from the high on Bitcoin, which is where I would measure it. These things typically last a year, so we would need to be ending this early. And then, of course, this is coupled with an awful lot of talk that we're going to be seeing. SPX is about to start a big move to go up 40% from here. Really? Seriously? I doubt that. That seems rather far-fetched. And the idea is that Bitcoin would make a new bull market while that was happening. You never know. But I'm seriously doubtful. So we will see how that goes, but I'm not seeing anything to suggest this failed. And even before I just found this perfect bear flag channel on Bitcoin, this looks like a bear flag. So, and that's because that's very likely what it is. A bear flag should lead in due course to a retest of the low here at 60.1k. All right, looking at the smaller picture here, I was wondering about a retest of this high here at 82.8k. Doesn't necessarily have to do that, but that seemed the obvious place to go, and it's not the only missed target so far. Now, Solana has been having a bit of a run over the last few days and actually managed to make it up to the weekly middle band, which, as you can see, held as resistance. So I'm watching to see whether that continues to hold as resistance, but really I'm not seeing any particular reason to think it won't. Although I am wondering if we might see a bit more upside on equities here. I think we're in the danger zone where bad news could really send everything off a cliff, but we could see a bit more upside before we see that. In terms of the daily chart here, we've made it up to the RSI 5 over 70 level and RSI 14, so we can set up negative divergence here, but we haven't got that yet. We haven't quite retested the rally high at 97.66, and I wasn't expecting that, but this was looking like a triangle, and we have moved up, and this no longer looks like a triangle. Could we be forming a channel here? I'm really not seeing anything obvious, but let's have a quick look. Maybe. But I'm pretty sure I've checked this already and I didn't find one. So let's just make that bigger, turn it blue. All right, no, we don't have one, but we do have a potential resistance trend line here, which I haven't drawn in yet, and I'm going to draw in because that is a possible decent quality trend line at on Solana just below 100. All right, if we have a look at the 15-minute chart, then I am wondering, hang on, sorry, I need to open that up a bit. We're basically talking about 4 months now, so wait a second. This flag is getting a little long in the tooth. I mean, having said that, I've seen flags that took several years to form, but not usually on the 15-minute chart. And of course, I couldn't chart that on the 15-minute chart. But I mean, this has taken 1, 2, 3 months so far, and a little bit of change, and obviously could take longer. I think likely this is going to roll over as and when equities do. We do have an IHS which broke up here with the target at a retest of 97.66. I was not optimistic about that making target. The retracement afterwards almost invalidated the IHS, but actually we're getting pretty close to that target. I'm leaning towards it making that full target, and we haven't made that yet. Like we are a bit short on Bitcoin, I think we're probably going to do the full retests on both of those. Looking at Ethereum, spent another week under the daily middle band and closed under it again for 1, 2, 3, the fourth week. We're now spending a fifth week, spending a little time above it, as we've done a couple of times in previous weeks. But that is obviously the main resistance level, and that's the level that Solana is testing as well. In terms of the daily charts, I'm wondering about a retest of the rally high there. We are absolutely not seeing much sign of that happening so far. In terms of a bear flag here, the problem here is we've never come back and after a reasonable distance and come back and retested this low here. So I'm not really seeing, I haven't really drawn any upper trend lines because I don't really see us having a worthwhile lower one. But still looks like a bearish consolidation, still likely to result in a retest of the low, and we will see how that goes. But I think all of these, I've been saying for months, these should in due course retest the lows, and I'm still thinking exactly that. When that will be, well, that's the thing. I do patterns, really. I don't do times. Do we have a channel here on Ethereum? Good Lord, I think we might. Okay, that's actually a little unexpected. We do? All right, that is also now a bear flag channel. Is it a high quality one? Well, it's a nice channel. Don't particularly like these two hits establishing it here and then coming back and making the two hits on the resistance trend line without actually touching support in between. But, that doesn't invalidate it actually being a bear flag channel. So we shall see. All right, great. So that's where we are. I'm wondering about retests of the high on all of Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Solana. We could go a little higher from there, but basically these are all bear flags. And actually, as we can see from looking at it this morning, they're all nice bear flags. All right, okay. When you were creating these channels, how did you pick the last starting point at the left of the chart? Easy. Always comes from the same place, the low. And that's why I tend to do that's why I tend to do the lower trend line first, because of course that is your main starting point. Then what you do is you clone that trend line, you drag it up, and you see whether you have a channel, because a channel is basically defined as 1, 2, 3, 4 points, 2 on each side, which makes the channel. When you have those 4 touches in basically a pretty perfect sequence, then you've got a channel, and that's a bear flag channel. But you always start. Well, obviously on a bull flag you start at the high. On a bear flag you always start at the low. Do you see bear flags from higher lows? Not in my experience, no. And I don't think I'd regard it as valid if you did. You always start at the low for a bear flag, and you always start at the high for for a bull flag, always. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. So we shall see how this goes. I think this long bearish consolidation is likely a couple of weeks away from resolving. And as and when it does, I'm expecting to see retest through all these lows. As for the great news about the Bitcoin rapture on Twitter, I don't really pay much attention to those guys. They don't really know how to chart. They do know how to get followers an awful lot better than me, and I take my hat off to their marketing. In terms of their actual chart work, it tends to be average on a good day. So rest of the time, it's pretty poor. All right, brilliant. In that case, I think that's a wrap. Everyone take care. I will catch you guys tomorrow. All right, cheers.